Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the singers, the singers only. Singers only. Hey, you guys, it's Kristal Cherelle from Indie Artist School. Welcome to the Singer's Arsenal. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 things that you need to do to have a successful release, releasing your own music. The first thing you need to make sure you do is make sure that it's actually your best work. I can't tell you how many times in my entire career where I've done something, I've made it, and then I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should go back and change this. And then later I'm like, no, I'm just overthinking it. And then later down the road, it just nags me and I don't even like my own song anymore. That happens. So you want to make sure that it's really the best that you can do from top to bottom. So whether it's production, whether it's the lyrics, and whether it's your vocal performance, make sure it's the best that you can do and that you're happy with it. If for any reason you're not ecstatic about all 3 of those elements, then it's time to get back to the drawing board. The second thing that you need to make sure you do is know your market. Who is your market? Do they have special desires? Is there things that they want you to talk about? What do they like? Who else are they listening to? Are there some trends or some cultural impact that is really prevalent for that market? Is there something going on socially in the world that really resonates with them? Knowing your market not only helps you know how to promote your music, but it also informs you on who your brand is, which is yourself, and how you put yourself out in the world. And you could see how people are responding to you. Contrary to popular belief, I don't really think that you choose your market. I think your market chooses you. When you're just being yourself and you're consistent with how you show up in the world, the right people will gravitate towards you. But the key for you is to take note of who's showing up, what they're saying, and what they're loving, what they're not loving, and they will help you be consistent if you struggle with that. Okay, the third thing that you need to make sure you do is get organized. Creating a project is very time consuming, and there's a lot of moving pieces to that. Whether it's just a single or an entire album, or if it's just a short EP, which is between like 3 to 5 songs, it's still going to take focus, organization, and planning to get it done successfully. You need to think about things like production schedule. Who are you going to go to for production? Are you co-writing or are you writing these yourself? When are you going to go to the studio? If you're recording it yourself, what is it that you need to be able to do it successfully? What order are you going to record the songs? Is there anything that you need to collaborate with other people? Say you're working with a producer over here and a writer over here, and this writer needs the production by X date. Are you communicating that with your producer so that you can get things done ahead of time? When you're taking point on your own project as an independent musician, you're responsible for making sure that things stay on track. And so you want to have short-term deadlines and long-term deadlines. And so you want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room just in case something falls behind. So in the beginning, you may not know how long it takes you to record a song. You may also realize that some songs take longer than others, and it can be hard to predict. So you want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room so that you can take as much time as you need to get it done well and still be on time, okay? Another part of being organized is talking about the splits and royalties if you're working with other people. You want to be able to communicate that. Usually it's best in writing. That way everyone's on the same page and there won't be any disputes about how much each person's getting for the song. All right, the fourth thing that you need to make sure you do is register your song. So if you are, working by yourself, it's a little bit easier to register, of course, but if not, and you're working with other people, there are some things that you need to know. First of all, copyright. Copyright is owning the rights to the intellectual property. You want to get it registered on the government website for copyright so that it is documented, because otherwise it'll be he said, she said. If you're working with someone else, you do not have intellectual rights to their property. So even if you're collaborating with a producer and they say, I'm not worried about royalties, you definitely can't copyright their music as your own. But what you can do is copyright your own part of the song. So if you created the melody for the vocals, you could copyright that. If you wrote the lyrics for the song, then you can copyright that. Hopefully that makes sense. The next part of registering your song is making sure that the splits are registered through a performing rights organization, PROs. And there are several of them to choose from. There's one called ASCAP, there's BMI, there's CSAC. And basically what that is it assigns a number to the song and the project, and you have your own membership ID as well. And in there you could say, okay, 50%, goes to me for, creating the writing of the song. Different performing rights organizations do the splits differently. Sometimes they'll do 100 and 100 for a 200 total, and some will do a 50 for a 100% total, and you don't have to split them evenly. It depends on what you agree with, but just the total percentage varies depending on the performing rights organization. I know for a fact that BMI and ASCAP do the percentages differently, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the person you're collaborating with is using a different performing rights organization. You guys will still have an understanding of what the split is from the total of the whole. So if you say 33%, you'll just, do the math to see what 33% of a 50% whole would be. It wouldn't be a true 33% if your total's 50%. So hopefully that made sense. If not, you could definitely learn more about this by taking my online course called the Indie Artist Toolkit, and it's a miniature crash course on how to release, register, and make money as a musician, as well as the introduction to singing. Okay, so the fifth thing that you got to make sure you do is set a realistic release date. I can't stress this enough, you guys. There's this thing that happens when you put a date out and you don't actually make good on it, is the fans who are paying attention, stop believing you, okay? And you never want to damage their trust. So you want to make sure that you're planning ahead and you're thinking about things like, okay, how long is it going to take us to release this? How long is it going to take us to record this? How long is it going to take us to get in contact with blogs and things like that for promotion for the pre-release? If you're having a pre-release show, how much cushion do you need between that and your production schedule? There's a lot of moving pieces to that. But if you're staying organized from the beginning, creating a strong, solid release date becomes easier. And a few other factors you need to consider when you're releasing music and choosing the date is things like holidays and days of the week and what's happening with other major artists. I I have a story, like I had a pre-release for my single Up Late, and it came out the same day Beyonce's project came out on Disney Plus. And then Brandy's was the next day. I didn't know in advance. I don't have the inside, I didn't have an inside scoop on that as an independent artist, but it was horrible for my project release. Okay. I'm okay with it because I have several other opportunities, but I just want you to know that happens sometimes. There are going to be some things that you can't predict. And if you plan your release in advance and it's already scheduled and it's already going to go out, there's very little you can do on release day if you find out somebody else had a surprise release. But if they're promoting it in advance and for a fact that you'll be in competition with something that your core fans will also be looking towards, then you'll know, hey, let me steer clear of that date so that my fans will also be aware of my release. Okay, so that's something to consider. Okay, I'm talking from experience. It happens. So if you get the date off one day, just know that you can promote it afterwards as well. So that's okay. All right. And then the sixth thing you want to do is promote your project. Promoting your project is a very interesting concept because I think a lot of times when we think of promotion, we think about maybe like boosting a post on Instagram, putting money behind it to get it visible to more eyes. But the biggest thing I will say about promoting your song is marketing. So you want to make sure that you have consistent content that leads up to the release well before your release is happening. So the people who are already paying attention know about your song before it comes out. They're excited about the song. There's a buzz about the song. You have content. You're giving them something to do related to the song, like maybe a challenge or singing covers or I don't know. There's just a lot of different things you can do there. Something that's short form and easily shareable is usually best. So if you have something like I know with my song Bad Little Mama, I had like this dancing baby, and then like this dancing peacock, and just like some funny memes that I saw online that really went with the theme of the song, which was about dancing. There was a dog twerking. Anyway, things like that that's shareable that people will remember. And whether they've heard your music or not, they will hear the song because it's in the actual image. So you could put a snippet of your song over some other things. As long as you give credit where credit is due, that's usually fine, especially in social media. But yes, so you want to do things like that. And you also want to let blogs know about your release before your release, during your release, and after your release. So all of this promotion I'm talking about should be happening well before your release, during, and after. Now, the type of promotion you're doing obviously will change depending on where you are in your release cycle. So if you're before, the song is out, then you won't have your music video out, right? That's too much too soon. You might give teasers or maybe even just an image that's a little elusive. I know, an artist like Ariana Grande, I know that for a fact that she did like a countdown on her page and everybody was like, oh, what's going on? And she had like a series of upside down images that was alluding to her artwork on her project that was coming out. Something like that kind of piques interest but doesn't give too much. And that's recommended for things you can do up until your release date. And then on release day, you want to make sure that your core fan base who's already been supporting you has something to do. Okay. So you want to make sure that your core fans know that your song's out and you want them to share something. Okay. Give them something to do so that they can be part of the experience. And then it helps friends and family and fans of your fans have more exposure to your music. That way you can, have it reach wider. Another thing that you need to be aware of is who your actual fans are. This is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a tricky thing. When you're an independent artist and you're just starting out, 9 times out of 10, your fans are your peers. So you might think that your fans are other artists who are doing what you're doing, or your friends or your family who's got your back no matter what. But the truth of the matter is they are friends. They're not necessarily fans. They might be friends who are also fans of your music, but there's a difference between someone like that versus someone who's just in love with your music and may not know you personally. That's your true fan. I'm not saying that your friends and family aren't fans. I mean, they are. But what I mean is you're going to get more information about getting new fans when you know who it is that discovered you and fell in love with your music. Okay? Your music. Okay? And even your brand. That's possible too. That's fine. Nowadays, hardly anyone listens to music when they don't know who the artist is. You're on Instagram, you follow somebody, you like their content, you find out they're making music and you love their music too. They're a fan. Okay. But if they know you personally and you just all of a sudden say, hey, I'm making music, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Whatever you do, I got you. That's very valuable. But just make sure that you, really hold those relationships close. Don't exacerbate them. Don't overwork them and be like, hey, I need you to do this, do that, and just have expectations through the roof. You want to maintain those relationships, right? So make sure you give your fans things to do. Okay. I've made the mistake of definitely pushing my friends to like do things for me, and I would do things for them, and that's fine as long as it's mutually beneficial. But I realized, over time, like it wasn't really healthy. So I found it easier for me to tell my fans, hey, I got this coming out, and I would love if you could do that. And they always responded because they were passionate about the music. And that's really what's most important. Okay, you guys, so let's go back over those things that you need to do to have a successful release. 1, make sure it's your best work. 2, know your market. Who's your demographic? 3, get organized. Plan, have a recording schedule, and know who you're going to work with, and make sure you get it in writing if there's any splits or anything else you need to know. 4, register your song. Make sure it's copyrighted, make sure it's registered through a performing rights organization, and that it's released through a distributor like TuneCore, DistroKid, or CD Baby, something like that will put it on platforms like iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. And then 5, make sure you set a realistic release date. Because you've planned your schedule, it should be a little easier for you to know how much time it's going to take you to record the song, as well as knowing what it is you need to do and how long it's going to take you to promote to blogs and things like that, so you can have a solid release date that doesn't change. And last but not least, make sure that you promote your project. A project that's not promoted is kind of invisible. I mean, it's kind of like if a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, does a tree fall? The answer is kind of like no, but just don't be too hard on yourself. If this is your first release or you're just still building your fan base, don't expect to be viral. You want to be in competition with yourself. The best advice I can give you as an artist who's releasing your own music is try not to look to your right and to your left and compare yourself to other artists, even if they're your peers. What you need to do is make sure that this release is better than your last release. And if you've never had a release, then this will be your new benchmark. Just do your best. If you want more tips like this, go ahead and visit my website, indie-artist.teachable.com, and make sure that you click that subscribe button so that I can send you vocal tips directly to your email inbox. That's indie-artist.teachable.com. Also, I want to invite you to donate to this podcast. I really enjoy creating content for you guys. And in order for me to continue to do that, I need your help. And you can help by donating anywhere between $1 or $10, a small monthly donation, by going to anchor.fm/thesingersarsenal/support. That's anchor.fm/thesingersarsenal/support. And for those of you who have already supported, thank you so much. You are a real one, okay? All right, well, you guys, until next time, have a wonderful day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a singer.